We are live, and there is nobody here. But tonight, there is another episode of True Crime Metrix. And we would like to welcome Chandler Halderson back to the interrogation chair. But first, a little something to treat ourselves with before we move on to the subject of tonight's video footage. And that is the chair that Chandler Halderson sat in before he sat in the interrogation chair. The chair of the squad that took him to the interrogation chair. It's funny. I don't think we're going to do the whole video today. As far as I remember, there was a lot of waiting around, but it's kind of funny because he is sweating. I mean, look at him. Look at him. Here we go. How do we share this tab? We click share tab. No. Present. Yes. Present. And which one is it? This one? No. This one. So Chandler's in one car and Kat is in another car, and this is because the cops have just come into his house en force, en masse, and said, listen, you need to come with us. No questions about it. A bit like the Wendy Adelson case, right? General Isom bursts into Mosaic Restaurant and says, you need to come with me. No explanation, just get in the car. Here's my badge. Get in the car. Wouldn't that be exciting? I'd love that to happen to me. I mean, I guess I wouldn't, because I'd be like, holy shit, what is going down? But it would be like, after it was done, and if it wasn't that big a deal, you'd be like, that was cool. That was straight out of TV. Except it wasn't out of TV. Or video games. Or New Girl. Thrill-seeking. They fake their deaths. Oh my god, I can't say it again. Anyway, share tab, please. Roll tape, please.
Could you please tell me something?
Yeah, please tell me something. Please tell me I'm not a suspect. He's talking to the car, the driver, the cop who's driving the car, and the cop's like, yeah, I don't know anything. They don't tell me nothing.
I honestly don't know anything.
Is that okay?
What's that?
Do you think they're okay that they're doing this?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything. I was out here earlier walking around doing the canvassing stuff, and that's basically what I've been doing.
I mean, how believable is that? I mean, what is this guy, like a cab driver or what? They don't tell me nothing. They just put my GPS on and buzz me, and I go door to door, picking people up, not knowing why or who I'm dealing with. I mean, of course he would be told. Of course he would be told, listen, be nice to this kid. He's just lost his parents, and we're going to be breaking the news to him. So give him one final moment of something nice to hold on to. They don't tell me nothing. Or this kid is a dangerous murderer who's done the unthinkable, and you can't show him any respect.
All my cell phone's on your dash. Don't let that slide and hit you when you're driving.
Put that. I want to make sure I give that to you when we get there. So.
Hey, Emmanuel, how you doing? All the way from Paris? Or is it Montreal? Brooklyn, that's even better. You know, Sheepshead Bay, the Flatiron Building. I mean, that's not in Brooklyn, is it? That's in Manhattan. What else do I know about Brooklyn? The bridge, the fantastic bridge. You see, we're looking at Chandler Halderson, right? Again, guys, we're going to be getting on to the rest of Catherine's interview in a second, but we just wanted to do a little bit of Chandler sitting in a squad car going to his certain reveal. What do you call it? You know, where they find out. And what's he thinking? It's easy for us to think, because we watch a lot of these, right? It's easy for us to think he must be thinking, come on, Chandler, what do they know? What do they know? You can get out of this, Chandler. You just got to keep lying and spilling your web of fabricated truth, and you'll get out of this because you lie your way out of everything because you're a lying genius. What do they know, Chandler? No, that's not what he's thinking. He's actually thinking, I wonder where the hidden item is in Escape from Tarkov. Where does the messenger take the secret item in the game? I'll have to Google that later. Pathetic child. Again, nothing against gamers, but come on. There's a limit. Hey, Rabbit, that's fantastic, man. I guess I've got some stiff competition tonight. If the state prosecution rebuttal to the Chad Daybell, the long-awaited Chad Daybell death penalty case is up right now, and we're going up against it. Let's see who has more viewers. We'll see.
Your incident has been updated.
He's got the big cup. Hey, Rabbit says, you have my vote, but just need to finish that trial. It's required viewing. So sorry, mate. Who do you think you are, Rabbit? The only people that are allowed to say mate are Brits and pirates. And you're neither. You're from New Jersey and you live in North Carolina. You can call me Buddy, Slugger, Champ, Sport, or what else? But never mate. Sorry. How's the neck, Chandler? No brace today, huh? Feeling better? What about the legs? Have you started to notice your legs? He really is starting to think, shit, I am in the back of a cop car. This is not a place he wants to be. He wants to be in the couch fort. Big bag of family bag of Doritos. Gallons of Mountain Dew and cherry soda. Game station all set up. And Kat cooking him some traditional Mexican food from her family, from her mother. You know, her mother's from Mexico. Yeah, Rabbit. I think Chandler Halderson could be the what is the word? The muse of inspiration needed to can't stop yawning. To develop a brain brace. Maybe they'll call it the Halderson hammock. It's like you put your brain in a hammock and it rocks in the hammock. Numbskull, yeah. Sunday night I gamed. And the next night I gamed all day. Little twitchy, Chandler. You're darting around, looking everywhere out the window. I mean, you're not giving off the vibe you want, mate. You're not giving off the vibe you want at all. We'll cut to Kat in a minute in the other squad car, who's like totally free and easy.
What are they up to?
What are they up to?
Officer.
Yeah.
What are they up to?
I didn't hear that.
What are they up to?
My guess is they want to just ask some more follow-up questions and stuff.
No, they went into the house.
No, they wouldn't go into the house these days.
They just went behind it.
They went into the house. What are they doing in the house? Do they have a search warrant for my house that's not my house because I live with my mom and dad as a 23-year-old male with no job and no future and no dick? Okay, that's probably about enough of Chandler today. Let's get back to Kat's interview. What is she doing with her naive confidence and her charming young behavior?
Tá bom.
A Securitas Direct apresenta um novo alarme com fechadura inteligente que protege a sua casa contra roubos e nos alerta em caso de manipulação. Para um dia...
Hang on, I'm just going to make this full screen. How do I do that? Present. Oh yeah, like that. Okay, we're ready, guys. Are you ready? Are you ready? In the blue corner.
Hunting, that you know of? Or I think he did hunting, like maybe Boy Scouts. Okay. He was a lifeguard. He was a Boy Scout like leader, camp leader. He would play taps at funerals. On his whatever that.
You see, this is the thing with Chandler Halderson. He's been all of these things of, you know, high importance, but in meaningless kid stuff. Okay, the Scouts is a big thing in America, but here in Europe, it's a joke. You know, it's a joke. I mean, he was an Eagle Scout. I think that means he's like a Navy SEAL of the Boy Scouts of America or something. You know, the highest one you can be. But and a leader, and don't forget his swim meet team. You know, he had the hoodie. He got the special hoodie, and he was gifted the special whistle, and he got to sit on that chair by the pool that's really high up. You know, he could swim 25 meters in less than 10 seconds. You know, a champion. But then he got out of that high school and had to be like a real person without his mom telling him every day, "You're the best, you're the best." And it was just like, oh, there's actual competition out here. Well, I don't think I can do it.
Bugle? Trumpet? Maybe. I think so. Is that the one with the buttons? Yeah. Yeah.
Trumpet or bugle?
Yeah. Play taps for them.
And that was all through Boy Scouts?
I think he might have done that through band. He did. I have the funniest photo of him from high school. They had like, you know how some school has jazz bands? He had German band. And so they made them wear lederhosens. This is one of the many photos in his photo album. Baby Chandler. Toddler, like early Chandler. Chandler with glasses. Because he roasted me for wearing bifocals.
He wears contacts then, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Okay.
Trying to find. It's really funny.
I wish we could see all these pictures on her phone. Chandler in lederhosen. That's got to be good. Chandler with bifocals and lederhosen and a neck brace. You know, he goes to the doctor after his fake injury, and he says, "Doctor, listen, I've fallen down the stairs, and I think it's bad. Okay, we need to get some special lederhosen in. We need to get it specially made to support my legs with thick German leather. Okay." And I need the braces. You know, the braces of the lederhosen need to connect directly to my neck brace so that my neck and my legs are always in unison and connected as one so that they can heal together over time.
I really want to find it. Oh, here it is. Oh, this lederhosen Chandler.
Nice.
I want to see.
And then this is him at one of his swim meets.
Oh, the swim meet. All these accolades.
I think he was in like Honor Society or something in high school.
Honor Society.
Very active. He was Cogsworth in Beauty and the Beast in middle school.
He was
Oh, really?
Cogsworth in
His mom says
Beauty
show me the
and
video.
let's just pause
She
to give
promised.
that some consideration, guys. Chandler Halderson played Cogsworth in the Beauty and the Beast musical at school. the clock man that, you know, how do we describe Cogsworth? Well, he likes to, you know, the details matter to Cogsworth, don't they? And he wants to follow orders and commands. You know, he gets easily rattled if Lumiere is being cheeky to the French feather duster.
Got hold her to it.
There you go. Did he ever talk about like how he was punished? Did he get a lot of timeouts, spankings?
Yeah, well, he only got spanked if he stepped into his dad's 15-foot radius of terror without bringing any shrimpless scampi. Then his dad would fly into a rage and turn all red and puffy. It was abusive household. Nothing could be further from the truth, guys. Hey, Neverly, darling. How you doing, my darling? Neverly says, you should call your channel True Crime Snark. People call me snarky. I'm not altogether sure what that means. Why don't we look it up together? What is a snark? An imaginary animal typically used with reference to a task or goal that is elusive or impossible to achieve. Okay, I don't think that's it. Critical comments that are made in order to hurt someone's feelings. Oh, that's not my intention. Is that how I come across? I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I mean, unless they're a friggin' psycho that chopped up their mom and dad. I mean, are there feelings to hurt, really? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, does Chandler need any protection from my comments? Probably not. Am I spreading hate? Is that what I'm doing? I mean, this guy chopped up his mom and dad. I think that's worse than anything I can do ever. Oh, this is a great bit. Check this out, guys.
Did you just call me a suspect?
No. One subject.
No. Okay, no.
Now you're definitely a suspect, mate. Fucking, did you just call me a suspect? You know, the cop said, I have the subject with me in the car and we're heading back to base. Chandler's like, did you just call me a suspect? The cop said, no, I didn't call you a suspect. I said the subject. You know, he is the subject of that guy's, of the cop's assignment, right? So he refers to him as the subject. But, I mean, and then Chandler just hangs his head and goes, shit, what did I just say that for? Now I'm obviously a suspect. If I wasn't before, I sure as hell am now. Idiot. I was really surprised, guys, among our audience here. Feel like we're all family, but this issue of Cathryn Mellender knowing, not knowing, should have known something, blah blah blah, was a very divisive issue among our small little community here. And I don't know if it's for me to insist to the group that, to impose what I think. I personally think that there is the conscious mind and the unconscious and subconscious mind. And, I don't believe she had any conscious thought at all. Like, did he kill his parents? Or are they chopped up in that chest freezer that we're next to and having sex next to? I mean, you know, uh, no, because that's so crazy. That why would she ever think that? But the way she answers these questions, like, so how was the discipline at home? What kind of pressure did his parents put on him? Nowadays, and she's like, well, the normal kind, I guess. I think on some level she's like, I don't really know, because Chandler keeps it pretty vague. Because liars, that's a thing that they love to do, guys. Watch out for this. Liars love to have murky details, right? It gives them a lot of space to adapt and withdraw and increase pressure and everything. Murky details surround untruths by professional liars, And that's clearly something that Kat, on some level, feels is strange. Strange. Yeah, Neville, I can appreciate that Kat here comes across immature, but she's only 20 years old. I mean, I know a girl who's 20 and she's a complete mess, like just chirpy mess. I think it's pretty normal nowadays. Um, but I just think that this girl has enough to deal with. This is my personal feeling. Enough to deal with without people slamming her and saying you should have realized something. She probably already has a major life changing dilemma about not realizing when she feels like she should. To my mind, the last thing that anyone should continue to point out is you were an idiot. Yeah, maybe, but have any of us really been in that situation to the extent that she has? I've been fooled. I've been completely fooled more than once, and it's because I wanted to believe things as a certain way. Your brain does this thing where it says it shapes reality around what you want to see. Yeah. So I just think she's probably been through enough, Yeah, no, I get it. Clueless. But cluelessly innocent, I would say. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with her, and she seems to have a warm heart. I mean, there's positives here that are easily missed. You know, she's a kind. Um, I don't think she's unintelligent. She's got social skills. I mean, this isn't the I Heart Cat fucking show, but I just think that whatever happened to her, I mean, she is forever now, throughout the rest of her life, the girlfriend of that guy that did that. You know, I think that's enough for anybody. You hear what she just said? She said he can make scampi from scratch. If he has what he needs, he's good. Has what he needs, what, like shrimp? Because when he doesn't have the shrimp, he just makes shrimpless scampi. Is that any good? How have we only got 4 viewers tonight, guys? This is a joke. Rabbits left. Friggin' oh, the audio's not on? I think it is. I've been chatting with Neverly. Can everybody hear me? Hey, Udi, how you doing? Can you hear me, Udi? Marion from Brooklyn is having trouble. Oh, no audio? Oh, shit. Hey. Oh, you can't hear the video. Yeah, the video's turned down. Okay, we're going to stop this video. Forget Cat. It's too divisive, and we're doing William Brown. William Brown. Come on, William. How about this one, guys? Can we get the video now? You got to hear this, guys. Please tell me you can hear this. Okay, so William Brown. I think one of the reasons I love opening statements is that it's a friggin' no audio. Okay. Remove. See, we gotta get our setup sorted, man. Sorry, guys. Bear with us. Technical difficulties, whatever. We're gonna share the tab again. Okay.
All of
About
those
now.
instructions. My name is William Brown. I'm the Deputy District Attorney,
Got it?
Dane County. Yesterday,
Let us
you
know
met
in the comments,
Andrew
guys.
Raymond. Together, we're the prosecutors in the case. You heard a little bit about how the process worked in jury selection, and you probably thought you were being.
Oh, please. Yes, we've got it. We've got it. Okay. Killer judge. What's his name? Highland, I think. Highlander. The Highlander. But William Brown is like a wonderful salesman for like timeshare. If he was pitching to me, you know, I wouldn't even have to wait around until I got my free gift. I would be up there signing my checkbook, Here is my checkbook. Write down any number on this paper and I will sign it. Just take all my money and my house and my wife. Please give me a condominium. Condominium. Yeah. He's just brilliant.
That the opening statements are not evidence. Attorney Brown.
Thank you. I have the screen turned on, Judge, on the left HDMI. While he's doing that, I'll promise you he'll give you a copy of that, by the way. You don't have to remember all of those instructions. My name is William Brown. I'm the Deputy District Attorney, Dane County. Yesterday, you met Andrea Raymond. Together, we're the prosecutors in the case. You heard a little bit about how the process worked in jury selection, and you probably thought you were being strung along the whole time, and in a bit you were. Everyone was trying to gauge your knowledge of the case, maybe any preconceived notions you had about the criminal justice system. Ms. Vera asked you a lot of questions about what you would think if she did nothing and sat there, and those were good questions. I won't do.
Miss Vera is one of the co-counsel for Chandler Huddleston, in case you didn't know, guys. She asked questions in jury selection saying, what would you think if I did nothing all trial? Which is almost exactly what she did. Nothing. There was no case. I mean, what case would there have been? In a way, the challenge was, can you have any case? Because here's all the evidence. It's clear you're the one that killed your mum and dad and chopped them up and disposed of their bodies. We can see that from all the evidence. So why are we in this trial? You know, just because Chandler said, well, it's my right, so I'll have a trial. I mean, and then, you know, usually they come up with something, right? An abusive childhood, fucking, dodgy money deals. But there was nothing. They couldn't, so they did nothing. They did an opening statement and a closing argument, and both were terrible.
Do nothing in this case because it would be a very short trial if I did. You're going to hear from me, Ms. Raymond, quite a bit. Our job in a case is to present evidence. That means to call witnesses. The judge talked about what evidence is. When we think of evidence, sometimes we think of, especially a murder case. You're in a murder case. You think of the gun. And you'll get that. There'll be a gun. You'll see that. But evidence is so much more. The first thing.
I mean, I feel like I could stop every 5 seconds and break down a sentence this guy comes up with, because he's just like, evidence, we're going to present evidence. Our job is to present evidence, which means calling witnesses. Now, usually in trials, in a murder trial, with evidence, you think of the gun, right? And there'll be a gun. You'll see a gun. I mean, he's just setting up house. You know, it's like he's setting up the house really well because he's got a huge family Christmas in. We've got both sets of relatives. We've got cousins. We've got uncles. We've got grandparents. We've got nephews, and it's like Clark Griswold. You know, family. What is that movie called? The National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. It's like that, right? Except done really well by Attorney Brown. Setting up house. Everything's in order. There'll be a gun. And there'll be a gun. You'll get that.
The evidence is the first thing the judge mentioned. Evidence is first the sworn testimony of witnesses, both on direct and cross-examination. When people raise their right hand and they swear to tell the truth, that's evidence. Now, you as jurors can decide whether you believe it or not. Does this person have any bias or prejudice? Do they have anything to gain by what they're saying? Do they have anything to lose? All those things are up to you. But sworn testimony is evidence. Photographs are evidence. Videos are evidence. Statements made by people involved in the case, including Mr. Halderson, are evidence. Our job is to, over the course of the next couple of weeks, present evidence to show you the path of what we believe happened, which is that Chandler Halderson killed his parents, dismembered their bodies, and hid them around southern Wisconsin. We've been talking about Bart and Krista Halderson. You've heard their names mentioned numerous times by the judges here. That's Bart and Krista Halderson. I'm going to try to use some photos as I talk to maybe guide us along. Some people.
Look at them there. Just two good parents in Madison, Wisconsin. You know. You know, Bart was very frugal. Dime saver, penny saver. The kind of man that would have less now in order to have more for the future and be able to give back and help set up his kids. You know, Mitchell, the brother that didn't kill them, I just bought a house with his girlfriend, you know, and Bart would come round and show them how to do their own, you know, DIY. Fucking set up a light bulb. You know, it's amazing what people don't know how to do. But Bart wanted to give knowledge to his sons, and Krista wanted to give, you know, love, adoration, kindness, sacrificed a lot, both of them, to give to their sons. And one of their sons shot them with a friggin' serious weapon, an SKS rifle, semi-automatic, I guess, and chopped up their bodies, you know, brutally with axes and hacksaws, and then, you know, threw their fucking heads with their faces on and everything into the fireplace. I mean, that'd be fucked up even if these parents were like, you know, rapist parents or whatever horrible stuff that some parents out there might be guilty of. I don't know.
People are more visual learners, some aren't. That's Bart and Krista Halderson. Couple in their early 50s, living in Windsor, Wisconsin.
That's the house. What does everyone think of their house? I quite like it. You know, is that a regular house? It's sort of like, I like how the front door is mid-level and then you can go up or down. You know, nice garage there, front lawn. And I believe it went right onto the back of maybe not a river, but you know, a water canal or something. Bart would fish there and teach Kat how to fish.
Street, in a quiet house, kind of in a quiet town. If you don't know Windsor, think just south of DeForest. Maybe if you're heading up toward the Dells, when you see the Fleet Farm on your left, if you looked right, that's Windsor. That's the Halderson home. At this point, perhaps it would be best if I told you a little bit about the Halderson family. Bart, the father, Krista, the mother. They have two sons, Chandler, the defendant, and his older brother, Mitchell. Chandler and Mitchell are close in age, but Mitchell's a little bit older. The time this all happened, living in the Halderson home, was Bart Halderson, Krista Halderson, and Chandler. Mitchell had moved out. Mitchell had a job working as an IT person for a local corporation, doing pretty well in life. He's engaged, doing pretty well in life. Buying a house, adult things, growing up. But in July of 2021, it's Bart and Krista living in that house, and their adult 23-year-old son, Chandler Halderson, living in his room. Now, all of the events I'm going to describe, for the most part, take place during the first week of July, from the 1st to about the 8th. So I put up a calendar. This is not evidence in the case, I suppose. It might be. Maybe I'll mark it as an exhibit. But just to provide some reference, and I put the little flag on there, because if you remember this year, the 4th of July was on a Sunday.
I can't help but watch this guy as if he's giving a timeshare sales presentation. And if he were, I would be able to see all of his, you know, tricks, mannerisms, to emotional pulls to get you on side. But even though I could see them, they would work on me because I'd be like, you're doing such a good job at it, man. I don't care what you're selling. I want it. And yes, that does sound affordable.
Everyone celebrated, of course, all weekend. A lot of places celebrated on Saturday, but the 4th of July was on a Sunday. Now I'm giving my opening statement. The judge told you opening statements aren't evidence. And in fact, that's the reason you don't have notebooks. I'd like to think so. It's you have to pay attention to me, but that's not true. It's because nothing I say is evidence. So as I say,
Remind us where you're from, Neverly. I think you're a Mississippi girl, aren't you? Is that right? I ask this to people all the time, and there's people from all over the world coming to watch this stuff with us, which is cool. Yeah, 60% are Americans, and welcome Stars and Stripes, I say.
things up here, what I'm saying is what I expect to prove in the next couple of weeks. But what I expect to prove beyond any reasonable doubt is that on July 1st, 2021, somewhere between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m., Chandler Halderson murdered his parents. It's an important date, and it's an important time to remember. July 1st, between 3 and 5. But the story doesn't start there. And this trial wouldn't be 3 to 4 weeks if the trial ended there. The story starts a week later, on July 7th, 2021, nearly a week after killing his parents, but no one in the world knowing. Chandler Halderson walks into the Northeast Precinct of the Dane County Sheriff's Office and says, "I'd like to file a missing persons report." He sits down with sheriff's deputies, and you'll meet them today. And he gives a long story. My parents, they just haven't come back from the cabin. They were there this weekend. We have a cabin up north. It's in White Lake, up in Langlade County. It's pretty far up north, a couple of hours. They just haven't come back yet. They were going to come back Monday or Tuesday, and I don't know where they are. Who were they with? The deputies ask. I don't know. I helped them pack Thursday night. They must have left Friday early before I woke up at 6. Who'd they go with? I don't know. Where are their cars? Well, they're still at the house. What'd you help them pack? Bottles of liquor, lots of money, tools, silver bars. Why were they going up there?
Silver bars. Why would he? Is that a thing that people do? Hold silver bars? Why is that? Because the value is stable, or what? You put your money into silver bars. Does anyone in the chat have silver bars in their home right now?
Some people they were fixing a window. Some people there was a plumbing issue, storm damage. The story varied. Sometimes they took just money. Sometimes they took just liquor. But over that day, the next, I'm talking to numerous sheriff's deputies, detectives, including those detectives. He gives this bizarre story of his parents leaving in an unknown car, going to a cabin with an unknown couple, with an unknown amount of money, for really an unknown reason. So sheriff's deputies do what cops do, which is they ask him, "Have you heard from him?" And he says, "Yeah. I got a text from my mom." And he did. He showed him his phone, made it safely. This is from Krista Halderson to Chaz. That's what his family calls him. Not Chandler, they call him Chaz. Made it safely. Can't get anything through though. Yes, it's packed. Going to White Lake today for the parade. We'll be home Monday night, Tuesday early. I love you lots. So at this point, the sheriff's deputies don't know what they're dealing with. These folks get up there and decide, now we're gonna go to the casino for a few days. We're gonna play hooky. Didn't make a lot of sense. They started talking to coworkers and realized these people had never no called, no showed, missed work, which they both did on Friday. Did they crash their car? Did this other couple kidnap them? Where the hell are they? But what good police do, and what they did in this case, is they start looking into the people who saw them last, who were with them last, who reported them missing. And in this case, all three of those things, the person who purportedly saw them last, was with them last, and reported them missing were the same person. There's Chandler Halderson. So what the police did, started to look into Chandler Halderson. And this is all occurring in the same 24-hour, 48-hour period. And what they learn about him isn't suspicious at all. He's a Madison College student, MATC. They go by Madison College now, if you didn't get the email. Madison College student. He's about to graduate. He's studying renewable resource engineering, kind of a hybrid IT degree with solar panels, things of that sort. He's about to get a certificate. But things had looked bright for him. He'd recently been working at American Family Insurance. He's working from home like most of us the last couple of years. But he's working a good job at American Family Insurance. And not only was he working a good job, Chandler had just gotten a better job. He got hired at SpaceX. He was about to embark on a career that people in the IT field could only dream of. He's planning to move to Titusville, Florida. That's where a SpaceX operation is, down in Florida, with his girlfriend. They'd rented an apartment. They'd bought a car. And not only was this not someone who was antisocial, he was pro-social. He was working with the Madison Police and the Department of Natural Resources on their rescue diving team. He was a scuba diver, working with the police. The only thing that was a bit odd is he'd recently suffered a head injury. Fallen down the stairs, had terrible concussion, was unable to move for the most part, had to wear a neck brace. He was permanently, perhaps injured. All of those things threw police off from thinking it was Chandler. He had anything to do with this. And at that point, for all they knew, as sad as it is, Bart and Krista and an unknown couple were crashed into a ditch somewhere between here and White Lake, Wisconsin, dead from a car crash. So they started looking. Deputies are sent up north. The Langlade County Sheriff's Department is searching a cabin. No one had ever been there. It didn't look like anyone had been there at all in years. It was run down. The grass hadn't been mowed. There was no food in the refrigerator. No one had been there. So the police expand their search and they start talking to not only just Chandler, people about Chandler. They start talking to people who were with Chandler that weekend. Specifically, they talked to his girlfriend, a young girl named Catherine. She goes by Cat. And Cat says, I was with him like all weekend. We had a normal 4th of July weekend. We went out to my family's farm. We got a farm. There was a pool. We ate dinner. Chandler was having the concussion issue and he couldn't really move his legs. And so he asked to use their pool the next day because he thought that was good therapy. So the police, what do they do next? They go talk to the person who owns the farm. And they say, was Chandler out here? And she goes, yeah, he was out here on the 4th of July. But you know what? He showed up the next day by himself. He showed up the next day by himself. I told him he could come back anytime, as we just say to people, not expecting they're going to roll into your house the next day. She says he was acting bizarre. Said that he had a doctor's appointment and they'd given him some bad news that he was going to lose his job at SpaceX because he couldn't travel. He couldn't attend orientation to start. And she goes, he asked to use the pool. And of course I said yes. This woman will testify and she'll tell you that she sat in her house for a while, perhaps a bit weirded out that someone had just shown up at her rural farm, but she let him have his space. But about an hour later, she goes down to the pool to check on him. He's not there. No one had opened the pool. No one had been in the pool. But she sees his car. It's parked out in a field, away from the pool, backed in toward where that grass is a bit longer, and had its hatch up. She thought, boy, that was strange. But she thought maybe he's just on a walk. So she goes in the pool. She said, I'm just going to go in the pool. If you remember that weekend, it's extraordinarily hot. She starts swimming. She says, Then I see Chandler. He's walking out the woods.
Neverly Darling asks if the concussion was fact or made up. It was completely made up. His dad said that he heard him, in quotes, fall down the stairs, and it wasn't even a loud bang. He probably didn't even bang his head. He just lay on the ground and said, "Oh my God, the pain, the pain. I need to go to the hospital." And his dad was like, "Well, we better go to the hospital." And, and then Chandler was just talking to the doctor privately and said, "Listen, doc, I need a neck brace and I need you to act like I'm really, like I've got this damaged nerve." And, and I think the doctor just to get rid of him was like, "Yeah, okay, a damaged nerve, neck brace, here you go." And then Chandler went on and on expanding on this lie. He said he needed a colostomy bag down the road and that his legs were permanently damaged and all of this absolute horse shit. And the reason he did that is because the week prior, Mitchell, his brother, had been diagnosed with diabetes. And the family were really broken up by that. And his mother, their mother, was hovering around Mitchell, like doing everything for him. You're not going to lift a finger around here, cooking his favorite meals, getting him things to make him feel better, and just being like super sympathetic. And Chandler was like, "Okay, I need to get me some of this. How do I get me some of this?" Well, he probably went through it in his mind. How can I get diabetes? But in the end, he opted to fake this thing about a concussion and falling down the stairs.
In that area.
And another thing about it was that Chandler said that the doctor told him that he couldn't fly because of the brain bleed, right? And so that meant, in Chandler's mind, it was a perfect excuse to say he couldn't go down to Florida to work with Elon Musk because he couldn't fly. And there's no other way to get there from Wisconsin. You have to fly, otherwise you can't go.
Now, at this point in the investigation, the police are out there with this woman. They're out on the farm, and she says he walked out over there. And you'll hear from the Detective Brett Baverstock, who was out there. And he'll tell you that his eyes kind of shifted up, and he saw vultures. And I promise the photos are only going to go this far for right now. But the police walked about 20 yards into the woods, and in that pile of debris, under dozens of sticks, bushes, and dirt, they found Bart Halderson. Now, when I say they found Bart Halderson, I need to explain that. They found a human torso. Someone had crudely chopped off the head, the arms, and sawed off the legs in the middle of the...
As our number one fan, Rabbit, pointed out to us the other day, folks, that this picture, this photograph of Bart Halderson's torso, no arms, no head, no legs, is just on Google. That kind of stuff is normally not available online.
Thigh, leaving the underwear on, in the beginnings of the pants. They removed the sticks and brush over a course of a few hours. They brought out doctors from the medical examiner's office to make sure everything was done appropriately. They rolled the torso over. There were gunshots in the back. This man had been shot in the back and chopped up. At this point, the farm, beautiful farm,
Neverly Darling,
cultivated for years.
All this because he didn't want to get a job. Well, you could look at it like that, or you could look at it as he felt like nobody. right? And he felt like somebody in his past. He was, the top guy on the swim meet team. He had the hoodie that he still wears 12 years later, or 8 years later, 9, whatever it is, almost a decade. He was a Navy SEAL in the Boy Scouts, or an Eagle Scout, or whatever it is, really high up scout leader. And, but where else he was somebody, where he felt like somebody? In his alternate reality of video games. He would play with people online in Germany, and he must have thought he was like a commander or something, that he mattered in his little fantasy game. But and within his lies, he didn't just say, I'm working at Burger King. He has a job with Elon Musk at SpaceX, And
A gift.
he's a volunteer on the dive rescue team for the local police, on call 24/7. What else did he lie? Well, the American family insurance company. I mean, that just sounds like a standard job that anyone would get when they come out of college and they've got some kind of degree, but they're trying to learn how actual commerce industry works. So they get a pretty low level job in a field that might not have anything to do with their degree. Family insurance. Okay, this is how to use a spreadsheet, blah, blah, blah.
The SKS rifle that was found about 100 yards from Bart Halderson's body. Now, you'll meet Mr. Smith, and you'll probably concur with me after meeting him. He's not really probably a paperwork kind of guy. And so when he gave the gun to Mr. Halderson, he wanted to document that he transferred the gun, but he wasn't going to fill out any paperwork. So he just took the
paperwork kind of guy. He's from Kansas, man. They just write in the sand with a stick if they need to write anything, which they would never need to do, because who would read it? Who reads in Kansas? And plus, whatever they write in the sand would blow away with all those tornadoes. You saw the Wizard of Oz.
Serial number of the gun. He put Mr. Halderson's driver's license next to it and snapped a picture on his phone. There's a clear picture of that. But that serial number matches the gun found in the barn 100 yards from Bart Halderson's body. And before Mr. Smith left, he decided he would gift his friend something else, which was about 400 rounds of high-powered ammunition. Now, you'll hear.
How much does a gun like that cost? I mean, it's got to be $600, isn't it? I mean, it's a real gun, like a military-ish. Like they have them in real situations, don't they? It's not just like a range weapon.
For Mr. Smith, despite maybe his bizarre actions and maybe his bizarre statements he may make, he's not a suspect. Police proved he was in Texas at the time all of this happened. Another unknowing accomplice to Mr. Halderson's crimes. So at this point, Mr. Halderson's working a pretend job at American Family Insurance. He's not getting paid. His father, who's an accountant, is kind of on his case about it. And he's got to figure out something else. And the best way out of your pretend job is an even more pretend job. So around May going into June of this past year, American Family wasn't going well. So Mr. Halderson decided to get a new job. He's going to be an astronaut. I work at SpaceX. This is messages to his girlfriend. I have a good feeling about SpaceX. I have a follow-up interview for Florida tomorrow. Shoot, sorry, I got the job. I have training next week over the computer and leave June 11th and start June 14th. He didn't give himself a lot of time, but what he gave himself was an escape hatch. He could move. Could end the lies that he had going on in his life about being a rescue scuba diver and working for American Family Insurance by simply moving to Florida. That presented with it one major problem, which was that job, which was also make-believe, would pay absolutely no better than the last job that was make-believe. So in late June, as he's supposed to start the job at SpaceX in Florida for Elon Musk, something happens in the Halderson family, something real. There's a change. Remember when I started off and I said there were 2 sons? His older brother gets hospitalized. That's real. It happened. Got diagnosed with diabetes and was having some complications. He's doing great now. Mr. Halderson uses that as an excuse to delay starting at SpaceX. It was a stroke of good luck for him, a stroke of bad luck, of course, for the family, but a stroke of good luck for him. But that only gave him a couple of weeks. So his brother, who's doing really well in life, engaged, house, real job, making a lot of money, suddenly he's in the hospital, being doted over by his family, by his mother. People care about him. So roughly a week later, when Chandler Halderson needs to think of a new lie to get out of the SpaceX lie, guess who ends up in the hospital, being doted over by his mother and his family with a supposed neck injury. This is Father's Day of this year, in late June. That's Bart Halderson in the middle, Mitchell on the right. Of course, Chandler wearing a neck brace that no one told him he had to wear on the left. Now, around this time, Chandler started telling people an extraordinarily bizarre set of claims. That he had a brain bleed, a hematoma, that he had spinal damage, that he needed his head drilled open, that he inability to use his legs at all. Couldn't drive. People had to do that for him. That he had nerve damage, that he needed to get a colostomy bag. But most importantly, he couldn't go to Florida. The doctors had told him he couldn't fly. Of course, that's not true. You'll see his medical records and you'll see his doctor testify. So suddenly this man, who was, for all intents and purposes, disabled, was being doted over by his family. People were making him meals. You'll see notes his mom was leaving for him. Call this neighbor if you need anything. She'll help you out. Couldn't drive, couldn't work, couldn't do chores.
So Chandler
Now-
was the Wizard of Oz. So if Chandler were a character in the Wizard of Oz, would he be the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, or the Lion? So what's that? That's the Scarecrow didn't have any brains. The Tin Man didn't have a heart. And the Lion didn't have any courage. Well, I think he was all three. Actually, he's Oz, isn't he? Because it was all an illusion. All of Oz's power and his greatness. I need to watch it again. Maybe they should set it in Wisconsin, not Kansas. That'd be good, wouldn't it? The Wisconsin Wizard of Oz.
A bit of a preview and a fast forward. This guy who's wearing a neck brace nearly every day in late June 2021 would have no problem just days later carrying large bags of ice out of gas stations to chill his father's cut up body in a freezer. And you'll note, no neck brace. And in fact, you'll note in this case, Chandler Halderson has never seen a neck brace again.
So, Rabbit, do you have a gun as an American? Do you have what is it called? A CW? A CWP? A concealed weapon permit? Wow, $1,200 to $1,500, huh? So that's about the same in euros. That is a big gift. And 400 rounds of ammunition. I mean, that's got to be. He said it was high-powered ammunition. So What do they cost? Like maybe 25 cents a bullet? I don't know. Oh, but it's not a bullet, guys. It's a cartridge. See, I only know about guns from listening to gun experts at trial. The cartridge is the casing and the bullet fragment and the gunpowder and the hammer pin or something. I know. I don't really know.
After July 1st, 2021, when he kills his parents. So the job lies are over for Chandler in his life. American Family Insurance, don't worry about that because he got this new job at SpaceX. In SpaceX, I can't go because I'm hurt. It was a perfect scenario. But there was one last lie that Chandler had to get out of. And that is he had told everyone he was going to MATC for college and that he was about to graduate. And you'll hear there's a hint of truth to that he was going there at one point. In fact, there's a hint of truth to all of these lies. He did go to MATC for like a semester. He failed out. But he wasn't going there anymore. And the parents...
Oh, we forgot to say thank you to Cinderella, who bought us a cup of coffee on buymeacoffee.com. And there was another guy, Mr. Sherwood, who bought us 5 cups of coffee, man. We also had our very first super chat the other day, which was nice. And he said it was for a cup of coffee, which is great because that's all we drink around here, guys.
We're starting to grow suspicious. And we knew this because when we searched the house, we started to find notes on Bart Halderson's desk. Bart Halderson was one of these guys who prints his emails. I don't know if any of you print your emails, but some people, they get an email and they print it out. That was Bart. And we find one. It's an email between Bart and Krista, detailing a conversation that he had had with Chandler's advisors at MATC. We're supposed to meet with someone else, so we met with this guy, Daniel Spieth. Chandler's going to get a solar certificate. He wasn't. He's registered for fall classes. He wasn't. He's in the IT program. He wasn't. All of these things, line by line, none of them true. But Bart Halderson talked to this person. So police honed in on something. That line. When I talked to the advisor, he sounds just like Chaz on the phone. And he gives this number. That is, of course, because Bart Halderson, when he talked to Chandler's college advisor, was just talking to Chandler, who had bought a burner phone, cheap phone from like Walgreens that you can buy with no service carrier. And police know that because they searched Chandler's bedroom. And in his desk drawer, they found that phone. Now, this kept going.
Wow, look at his
The lie
drawer,
about going to MATC.
That is the drawer. I bet we've all got a drawer like that somewhere, haven't we? What does it say on that paper? I have to turn the computer upside down. Good. Good something. It's difficult to read something that's both upside down and backwards. I'm not sure if my brain is capable of that. What kind of Trident gum is that? Is that peach? What's wrong with just spearmint, man? Fancy gum and everything.
UC or Madison College was the most extensive. There were emails,
Whoa.
dozens, if not hundreds of emails going back and forth between supposed advisors at
Hey.
MATC.
Pause video, please. Rabbit just sent us a huge super chat, guys. Now, where's my gun? I want an AR-15 and... Okay, great. Wow. Hey, Rabbit, you are rolling. Let's start a trend, guys. Dig deep, people. Dig deep. We got to... no, it all goes into the business, guys. We're going to have lighting. I know I don't have a camera yet, but we will do. We'll have a camera and lighting and studio stuff, for our fantastic studio, because we're not going anywhere, guys. We're going to keep doing this until you all go away and stop pretending to be our fans.
Chandler, and then he'd
I'm still not convinced that you're all bots on a computer chip or something. And this is all a ploy of YouTube to make money. It's like, okay. No, thank you very much, Rabbit, from the bottom of our hearts. Me and Soap, our resident sound controlist.
forward him to his dad from people like someone named Alyssa Brandt, 64. Sometimes Chandler would spell Brandt, B-R-A-N-D-T, sometimes just with a T and no D, depended on.
I know, Rabbit, right? 580. When we passed 500 subscribers, I was like, well, there's a milestone, and that's probably as good as it gets. We'll never get to 1,000. If we do, it'll take a year, and then the momentum will have slowed down, and I'll have lost interest, and I'll have hung myself by then anyway. So no, but it's rolling in, man. It's like we had like 30 subscribers in a day the other day. I remember, because when we passed 544, I thought of that guy's channel, 544 Camp Street, guys. Hey, anyone watching now that hasn't seen 544 Camp Street's video on Wendy Adelson's testimony, he's got a few good videos about the Adelson case, and an interesting one about the Jean-Benet Ramsey case that was pretty good. And I think he covered something else as well that was also good. Can't remember what it was off the top of my head, but check his channel out, guys. 544 Camp Street. Hey, Nancy, we see you.
On the day, but they all had the @Gmail address, not @madisoncollege.edu. And you'll hear from the people at Madison College. Their people have real emails. They don't use Gmail. But it was over and over again. Alyssa Brandt was one of them. You heard about Daniel Spieth, also @Gmail. There was someone named Aaron Hoover, also @Gmail. In this one, Chandler's getting upset. I have to have a call with whomever's in charge within the next 30 minutes. I have been a student for over 3 years, and I will be treated fairly. Of course, he's yelling at himself. All of these were fake. Back and forth to himself, and eventually to his dad. The Halderson parents had to have been growing extraordinarily frustrated. Kid wasn't getting paid. He was injured suddenly. His college transcripts aren't coming through, so he can't get a job. So police looked at that original note again. They saw something interesting, which is in this sea of fake people, Daniel Spieth, Aaron Hoover, Tom Selznick, Alyssa Brandt, there was one name that stood out, Omar Job. And that name didn't stand out because it was fake. It stood out to the police because it was real. That is the only real person on any of these emails. And what we've discovered in this investigation is in just the day and a half prior to being murdered, Bart Halderson, Chandler's dad, called MATC and pretended to be Chandler to try to finally get some information on what's going on. Just as any of you could call any doctor and pretend to be your kid, you know their name, their social security number, their birthday, you can get through. You can get through those minor security things. Bart called MATC, said, I'm Chandler, and I want some answers. And for 17 minutes, Bart Halderson, just before his murder, talked.
Oh, you're a big fan of this one, aren't you, Nancy? I remember you saying in a comment about how many times you've watched William Brown. And he really is badass. I mean, I love how he shows disdain, total disdain for this chump kid. But he does it in it's almost menacing way. But it's kind of, light as well. It's strange. It's unusual. But he's practiced this to the letter. I mean, not the speech, just his skill. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's playing an instrument really well.
To a man named Omar Job. Omar Job is a entry-level customer service guy at MATC. He's got no skin in the game, doesn't even really remember the call, but it was recorded for customer service purposes. And
the effect of this guy's style on the jury is brilliant. I mean, the jury must have just got up from this opening statement and say, okay, so you want us to be here for another 2 weeks? Why? We already know. Why is this not evidence? This was all we need to know. Can we just sign the form now? Guilty? Okay, the system just doesn't work like that, but you know they were feeling it.
Bart Halderson questions Omar, and he's very...
There was no one in the jury that was like, okay, so that was the prosecutor's argument. Now we need to give our full attention and fairness to the defense. I mean, I'm not saying that they weren't being fair, the jury, or they were biased or anything, but how are you going to beat this, really? The jury were totally on board with the state instantly.
First, because in his mind, he'd been getting screwed around for a year on where his son's transcripts were and what degree program he was in and why he hasn't graduated yet. But toward the end of the call, Bart asked Omar Job, hey, do any of these people work there? Alyssa Brandt, Daniel Spieth, Aaron Hoover. And he's told no, they've never worked there. And in fact, they haven't. And he says, that'll be it then. That'll be it then are the last recorded words of Bart Halderson alive.
That'll be it then.
Bart Halderson shortly after that sends a text message.
I mean, that should be, I don't know.
Text message that ultimately sealed his fate,
somber, I think.
which was a text to his own son.
Be on his gravestone.
And it says, I spoke with Omar Job. Now, what happens over the next 24 or so hours is a bit unknown. Homicide investigations are a lot of unknowns because the two people who are the victims, who maybe know the most about what happened, are of course dead. But there's not much verifiable information that happens over the next 24 hours. It's also unknown if Chandler even knew who Omar Job was. Of course, he wasn't going to MATC, so why would he know who some lowly entry-level customer service guy was? He wouldn't. But Bart Halderson did. And when you look at Bart Halderson's work calendar, that he maintains at his accounting firm, you see something quite interesting. Remember at the beginning, I said I wanted you to remember a date and a time, which was that the Haldersons were killed between 3 and 5 p.m. on July 1st, 2021. Guess what was on Bart's calendar at that exact time? He was supposed to have a meeting with the people at MATC with his son. So he's supposed to go to MATC and have this meeting at 3 o'clock on July 1st, 2021. Of course, that meeting couldn't happen because he wasn't going there and none of the people were real. But Bart Halderson knew that. Bart Halderson knew that. And so Chandler had obviously figured that out at this point. There's no way out of this one. You can't get out of this lie. And so the next day, Chandler Halderson wakes up on July 1st and starts messaging his girlfriend. 7:26, I hardly slept. 7:27, stuff hasn't been going well for me lately. Just trying to plan for the next thing to fuck me over. 7:51, I had a great future planned. It's falling apart. 1:04, just 2 hours prior to the murders. I overheard they might go to the cabin with their friends, but I don't know. So somewhat of a full circle at this point. That's the moment Chandler Halderson decides to kill his parents and engage in this bizarre story of them missing at a cabin with an unknown couple in an unknown car. at 1:05.
Pretty amazing to see it in those 4 steps, isn't it? You can feel like his thought process. I hardly slept. I don't know, stuff hasn't been going well for me lately. So I'm trying to plan for the next thing to fuck me over. What a whining bitch. Yeah, I just had a great future planned, and it's falling apart. What future, man? Sitting in the couch fort with fucking playing Tarkov and watching New Girl? Oh, let's go and have some fireworks. Oh, we gotta get home for the dogs. And then we went home for the dogs.
4, July 1st. Now, shortly after this message, just about an hour and 10 minutes, Bart Halderson's getting ready to go to MATC for this meeting, perhaps to confront Chandler. Perhaps Chandler's going to confront him. Bart texts Chandler, I'm ready whenever you are. That's about 50 minutes prior to when he was killed. Those are the last words ever recorded of Bart Halderson. His phone is never used, really. Again, dies at some point. He never goes back to work. No one ever sees him. The neighborhood he lives in, riddled with security cameras, never see him again. I'm ready whenever you are. What the evidence will show in this case is that sometime after the I'm ready whenever you are message, and probably just around 3 o'clock when he was supposed to go to this meeting with MATC, Bart Halderson was shot in the back multiple times with a high-powered rifle. And after shooting his dad, Chandler texts his mom, Dad's phone died. Text her, call me. And get sewed on your way home. I have an extra hour of work. You know he didn't have an extra hour of work, but he was delaying her getting there because the evidence will show he needed to move things around, prepare for what he was about to do when she showed up. She responds, K, I can, smiley face. Those are the last words of Krista Halderson alive.
You raise an interesting point, Udi. Do you think Elon Musk knows about this case? I mean, I guess he's pretty busy, but he's kind of a feature. He's kind of a key feature of the story, isn't he? Are there other murders that feature Elon Musk, you know, as a component? I wonder if there are.
Shortly thereafter,
He was certainly a component in the Amber Heard testimony.
Around just after 5, neighborhood security cameras, the Haldersons did.
By the way, guys, I think we might do a bit of Amber Heard on the stand soon. Maybe tomorrow.
Didn't have one, but the neighborhood, a lot of people did. Show Krista pulling in, getting out of the car, walking in. She's never seen again until her legs are found out by the Wisconsin River. But just after killing his mom and his dad, the evidence in this case will show that Chandler went on his phone. If you go on your phone, I don't know if any of you have ever taken a note. You can take notes on your phone. iPhone has an app called Notes. We got some raw data, and I'll put it up here in a second. I won't put the raw data because it's a bit challenging to see. But Chandler creates a note about 5:11 that day on July 1st, probably minutes after killing his parents. And the note reads, weekend chores.
Yeah, Nancy, and you know he drank that soda as well. His mom brought him soda that he sent her to collect on the way back to delay her getting back in order for him to have enough time to drag his father's body down into the basement, probably ready for cutting up, clean up the blood so she wouldn't freak out when she walked in the door, just enough so she wouldn't freak out or notice straight away. And then he killed her and drank the soda that he sent her for. What a sick fuck.
H2O2.
I mean, the murdering is bad enough, but after he drags the bodies, he just pours himself a nice big glass of Arnold Palmer or whatever.
Lemon. H2O2 is the chemical name for hydrogen peroxide. You'll hear from people in this case, it's essentially a household cleaner to clean up blood. Lemon deodorizes things. Mixed together, it's a pretty cheap cleaning product you can have at home. So Chandler writes a note after murdering his parents, H2O2 lemon. Door handles. Move your shit upstairs, get a job, and clean the floor. He then does just that. Spends the afternoon cleaning the house, eventually jumps in the shower. We know he's in the shower because his girlfriend and him FaceTime when they're in the shower. No judgment, but that's what happened. And the girlfriend took a screenshot. We know he's in the shower. They say they're good nights, and Chandler says, I'm going to bed. But he doesn't. He goes to gas stations. He's carrying out large bags of ice.
He even looks sketchy.
Because what Chandler had done that night.
With this shirt, is that a well-known emblem on his shirt, or is that just like a, what do you call it, Target design?
Is what you all probably suspect by now. He had dismembered his parents, or at least started the process, and had to fit them inside of freezers that were in the Halderson home. And you'll see some of these freezers, they're cleaned. There's still some evidence around. That night, I'm not going to show many photographs for a little bit, just because I think you deserve to kind of be eased into some of the things you're going to see. That night, what appears to have happened, what the evidence will show, is Mr. Halderson took items from around the house and began cutting apart his parents. Saw blade.
Yeah, rabbit. Or maybe his mum brought diet Dr. Pepper. I mean, for that, I could understand the need to shoot her. That stuff is a joke.
It's covered in Bart and Krista's blood. An axe, Bart and Krista's blood. Handsaws, things of that sort, covered in Bart and Krista's blood. He cleaned the house as best he could, and you'll hear about that. But still, blood spatter found of Bart and Krista's blood around the house. And he had a plan. It wasn't a well thought out plan, but he had one. And that was he was going to burn the remains in the family fireplace there in the house. So it's July 1st. And if any of you remember, 4th of July weekend's pretty hot this year. People in the neighborhood thought it was a little bit weird.
Hey, Ryan.
That
Ryan
so much
B.
fireplace was going on. They
Ryan
smelled
B.
stuff.
In the house.
One person, this neighborhood's full of retired cops, but one retired cop said, I smelled like a barbecue, smelled like a pig roast. And he said that just not knowing what it was at the time, talking to the police. And that night, a neighbor who had a security camera behind the Halderson home, way far away, was able to catch something. Because it was pitch black at night, it was able to catch just a little glimpse of all the windows in the Halderson house. We have an expert that's going to come in who works with video and light analysis. He's going to tell you, he was able to figure out which window that was. And the window it was that he was looking at in that camera footage that kind of just piqued his attention was the window by the fireplace. And for many hours over the course of that night, the light flickered, came on, died down, on, down. But in the early morning hours the next day, he'd been up all night doing this. Because you'll learn, you really can't burn human remains. Your home fireplace is not going to get hot enough to do that. It takes an extraordinary amount of heat. If you go to like a crematorium, you're inducing it with oxygen, chemicals, not a residential fireplace. But eventually in the middle of the night, the fire started going well. It appeared that air was being pumped into it. And you'll see when they searched the Halderson home, there was in fact a fan found right next to the fireplace, next to a tape measure, trying to make sure the remains were the right size as they went into the fireplace.
Can you imagine being a fly on the wall for that? There's this stupid kid covered in Cheeto dust with a tape measure, measuring the fireplace, and then going, okay, that's 14 inches, 14 inches and 5/8. So where's Dad's foot? That'll fit.
But that light at one point grew and grew and grew, and it got very bright in one room. Then all of a sudden, the kitchen light came on, and then all the lights went out. I don't know if anyone's ever taken a hot Pyrex pan out of the stove and put water in it, or dumped hot water on your windshield on your car in the winter, but it explodes the glass. The evidence in this case will show that what happened was the fire had gotten out of control, burning these human remains. Human fat was rendering out. It was igniting. So Chandler threw water on it. But when you throw water on your residential fireplace, you break the glass. And that's exactly what happened. Just above that broken...
Was Attorney William Brown not watching the interrogation? Chandler explained all this. No, he threw a tennis ball. The dog ran into the fireplace with the tennis ball, and okay, the tennis ball didn't break the fire retardant glass, but the dog, the tiny dog, hit that pane with its shoulder. And this is how Chandler got his left foot whole, and his dad sustained an injury or two.
Glass panel, which is clearly shattered. You see the paint kind of bubbled off from the heat. This is in the search of the home from a week later. The fireplace is clearly used. The police noticed something interesting about this photograph, which is, despite being clearly used, the logs are rebuilt. Someone had cleaned out all the ashes and rebuilt it. Clean logs, newspaper, one burnt piece in the middle. But what stuck out to police right away was that little rock right there. They thought, what is that? You'll hear from the people who collected this evidence. You'll hear from an arson specialist from the Department of Justice, a guy named Bill Boswell, who come in. You'll hear from a forensic anthropologist, a doctor named Cristina Figueroa Soto, who will tell you, we were all interested in what that was because it was out of place. So they pulled it off and they put it on one of these fancy police deals. And the forensic anthropologist took one look at it and she said, oh, this is a human skull. He had burned his parents' heads in that fireplace. Later, the police would go through the ash trap of that fireplace and they would find human remains, facial bones, the knee bones, which, because we found Krista's legs, by deduction had to be Bart, all in the ash trap of that fireplace. They were all cataloged. Now, burnt remains can't be tested for DNA. There's no biological material left, but they're able to tell it's human based on the structure of the bone. And you'll hear from the anthropologist who will talk about that. So that's what happened on July 1st. Now you're going to hear about all of those days in between Bart and Krista dying at 3 o'clock on the 1st, all the way through the police report. But to summarize, Chandler stayed up all night that night of the 1st. Obviously, things weren't going well, burning his parents' remains. So the next day, perhaps not having slept, he walked into Fleet Farm at 7:21 a.m. to buy a tarp. He's on video. He knew his girlfriend was spending the night that night, so he spent the whole day cleaning. But he's sending her text messages, which you will see throughout the day, asking her to bring him hydrogen peroxide and a mop, because he still needed to clean up. The next day, Saturday, July 3rd, 2021, his girlfriend leaves early in the morning. That's the day she snaps that picture of him out by the Wisconsin River, dumping off his mom's remains. Spends the rest of the day hanging out. But when he goes home and says he's going to bed that night, this young man who supposedly couldn't drive or carry heavy objects, his phone records show that he's up near the Wisconsin River in Portage as if you're driving the interstate up to the Dells, right when you cross the Wisconsin River, off in the state land there to the right. For about an hour in the middle of the night, the police tried to search that area. It was impossible with the currents. Whatever remains were thrown in there or lost forever. July 4th, 2021, this is the day he texts himself. Spends the day with his girlfriend's family, goes to their farm to use the pool. That's the day he says, hey, can I come back tomorrow? Goes to some fireworks. He's living a normal life. No mention of his parents. The next day, takes out the garbage in the morning. Who knows what was in that garbage can? We've thoroughly searched the landfills, but it's impossible to find anything. But he took out the garbage. He goes out to the farm to supposedly use the pool where he's seen walking out of the woods. Cell phone tower records prove that he was out there on the farm. Remember I told you he told that person that he was having trouble at work and school and having a bad doctor's appointment. He never went to any doctor's appointment that day. Phone records show he never talked to any doctor. It was all a ruse to be able to go out in the woods and hide his father's body. The next day, not much happens because Chandler was up all night. Again, that light analysis shows all night, the garage light on and off. The garage, of course, being where we found some of these tools, the axe covered in blood. He's cleaning up. At 4:30 in the morning, for no apparent reason, he drives around the city of Madison. There's no idea what he did there. But he's not doing much. But people begin questioning him about his parents. He just says they're late. The person most worried, perhaps, is his girlfriend. She thought that was unlike them. The next day, he drives back to the farm, throws a bag of bloody rags into their garbage can that's out by the street. And at 11:22, he texts his girlfriend that he's finally going to the police. We know the bag of rags came from his house because they were in the Target bag his girlfriend picked up from Target. And she did the curbside pickup. So her name was printed on the outside. It was when she brought him hydrogen peroxide. He filled the bag with bloody rags and left it at the house.
Yeah, as Chandler
The next day,
tells it, that
he
bag
starts
is
Googling
like
body
one
found,
of
Wisconsin,
the
dismembered body found.
Scratching his psoriasis.
He's walking door to door, asking about security cameras in his neighborhood. And at 4 p.m., they take him downtown and they arrest him at 6:41. So that's the story. That's why you're here for a couple weeks. Like I said in the beginning, a lot of cases end with the murder. This one, it's just a small piece of the puzzle. None of the things that happen after and none of the things happened before make any sense without knowing the murder happened on a specific day at a specific time. But the evidence in this case you'll find is overwhelming. Chandler Halderson killed his parents on July 1st, 2021. He cut up their bodies with axes and saws and knives. And he didn't even give them the dignity of having a funeral or even a final resting place in one piece or together. Their remains were scattered across Dane County, in public land, on farms, in garbage cans, in rivers, and perhaps every ditch is a possibility.
That'd be really weird, wouldn't it? I mean, even when your parent dies, whether you bury them or put them in an urn, there's this sense that they are somewhere, as one piece. I mean, even if you put the ashes, off a cliff or whatever, it's like they're in that area, but this guy's like, yeah, well, we buried my mom's leg and foot, and we buried my dad's torso. I wonder if they could have just got away with like making one body out of the two of them and put them in one coffin. That would have been kind of cool. That would have been kind of cool. Like they just take Bart's torso, Krista's legs, obviously the heads are gone. We'll chop a head off one of the dogs. Okay, this is sick.
In this county, you'll find the evidence in this case is overwhelming. Now, over the next couple of weeks, I'll make you a couple promises as your prosecutor in this case. I'm not here to waste your time. But of all the constitutional rights we talked about of Chandler, he has them. I want you to respect them. There's another one that you should know, which is this is the only time we get to have this trial. You get one trial in the United States of America, and I have to do it right. So if that means calling a lot of witnesses, I apologize in advance. If it means calling experts to say things that maybe you already know, I apologize in advance. But I'm going to do my job right as your prosecutor. Second, you're going to see terrible photographs. There were approximately 5,000 photographs taken in this case.
5,000?
You're going to see maybe total a couple hundred of actual body parts, maybe a couple dozen. We have scoured those photographs and tried to remove ones that are just horrible to see because of the conditions the bodies were in, because of insects and maggots and things of that sort, and instead are trying to only show you photographs that help you understand how the remains were hidden, where they were hidden, how they were dismembered. To the extent possible, we're using cleaner photographs that were taken by the Dane County Medical Examiner. I promise you, I'm not trying to pull on anyone's heartstrings. I'm not trying to make this overly emotional. You might feel emotional. I suspect many of you have never seen anything like what you're going to see in the next couple of weeks. But I promise to do my best to limit the amount. And lastly, I promise to just ask questions, a lot of questions, because you're the jury in this case, and you deserve to hear absolutely everything. It will be a struggle. You'll get sick of walking back and forth to these jury rooms. You might get sick of each other. I hope not. But it's an important task. What happened here shouldn't happen, but it did. And so in a couple weeks, when I stand up here and Ms. Raymond stands up here, I'm going to ask you to deliver a verdict of guilty, to finally bring some much needed truth to Chandler Halderson. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Brown. Counsel, could Attorney Brown, could whoever's giving the opening come up? We don't have to, we can do this without going off. Just want to discuss time. Okay, perfect. Thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our morning break at this point.
Oh, they're going to
and what will happen is Randy will take you back. You'll go to your respective rooms. You'll have at least 15 minutes. We'll come back and continue. Go right ahead.
All rise for the jury.
All rise for the jury. Well, there you have it, guys. We mixed 3 videos into one. I don't know, you know. I'm getting the feeling, you know how we started doing the Luis Rivera testimony series, but it was less interesting to me, at least. I mean, I love watching it, but doing these shows, you know, it's not really about just watching a video for me. I want to find bits to explore and share with you guys. And I'm thinking that an innocent person in an interview room isn't that interesting for me. So there are, you know, but I also kind of don't want to jump around too many cases at once, because I think we'll all get confused. I suppose I could have a look at the opening statement of Chandler Halderson tomorrow. But we want to get back down to Florida soon, guys. We've got a lot going on in Florida. We've got Michael Dunn, Michael Draker, Lee Rodati. Who else do we want to do? Dalia DiPolito, I don't really care, to be honest. You want to talk about airheads? There's an airhead, Dalia DiPolito. You know, and not an innocent one. Just a really, really bad one. Yeah, remember, guys, like, share, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and watch out for that merch. It's going to be dropping soon, you know. We got kosher style, we got shrimpless scampi, we got kosher shrimp scampi, we got, yeah, I mean, maybe that's it. Shrimpless scampi would be kosher, wouldn't it? My non-shellfish eating friend. Rabbit says, Metrix, you have realized there are dark corners of your mind. Well, that was never an unknown to me. Your humor reveals that truth. You just prefer to not be alone in those dark corners. It's all good. Neither do we. Okay. Well, thank you, Rabbit. And thank you so much for your super chat. That was very generous of you, and it is very gratefully, Jesus Christ. I have an extremely good vernacular, okay? I study a lot of things. The dictionary is my favorite book. It's something about being on a stream. I mean, I'm not, it doesn't freak me out or anything, but sometimes my words just go away, which never happens. Anyway, how's this nut eating? Is this too loud? Maybe. But we're closing it down for the night, guys. Hey, look, it's 12:30, noon 30, midnight 30. But then, you know, lacrosse, Rabbit's a lacrosse player, guys. And the Yardley love George Hughley the fifth. Do I want to look at his interrogation? I tell you what I definitely want to do, and it's quite similar to Chandler Halverson in some ways, is Grant Amato. Grant Amato that was spending $250,000 stealing from his parents to send to some fucking Bulgarian cam model, which is just like an online stripper. You know, what do they call? Like the girlfriend experience. And he thought they were in love. So he sent her like $250,000 to do dances and to try on outfits and to just be nice to him. Sad. And when his family said, "Oh, please don't send all our money to Bulgaria," you know, his parents were just about to retire, and his dad was like, "Well, I'm never going to retire. I'm just going to have to keep doing this." And then he shot his mom and dad and his brother, who was really close with, and he was arrested the next day and brought in. He was actually released after the interrogation, but I think he was arrested the next day after that for murder and hasn't been out since. I mean, and his interrogation, I just know there is so much for us to talk about on there. And it's a long one. It's like a 3 or 4 hour one. There's a brother that comes in. The lead detective is really funny. I mean, not because he wants to be, it's just, to my mind, he does a pretty freaking amateur job, really. His tactics are good to make fun of. Yeah, guys, keep those super chats rolling in and we'll be getting our thesaurus soon. Maybe we can just do that online. Okay. Sorry for the food slapping. I'm just trying to get through these last comments before we close it down. Dahlia, 5,000% guilty. Couldn't agree more. Oh, I see what he's done there. Well done, Ryan. I am 5,000% sure. Your vibe attracts your tribe. That's why we're here. Okay, Neverly, thank you. It's Kismet. My favorite book is the Thesaurus. Oh yeah, I like it too. Yeah, I'm always looking for synonyms but if you really want a good book, Rabbit, you should check out Michael Swan's Practical English Usage. It's a reference book, and it's fantastic. Like, for example, it'll give you two sentences as examples, right? It will say, the concert was cancelled due to rain. And the second one would be, the concert was cancelled because of rain. And it will explain to you why one of those is correct and the other isn't. And it will give a reason for that categorization. It's fantastic. It just goes on and on and on. You can read it for days. There's no fucking way. There's no way she's dead. Yardley. There's no fucking way. It's a joke, isn't it? He'll be out. Well, maybe not soon, but I think he'll do 10 years total, which is a lot less than what I mean, he what was that in? That was in Virginia. He spent 12 million green is dollars, 12 million on the last trial. Wow. A lot of money. Rabbit's husband might have the same price tag many years into marriage. Okay. Nancy says, have you watched Karen Reed? No, not yet. Not yet. Cincinnati, Ohio. Wow. Hey, is there really a 400 Oak Street in Cincinnati? Because that's the Kmart that Dustin Hoffman is always going on about in Rain Man. 400 Oak Street. It's also where bicycle cards are printed, the playing cards, which, I have a bunch of, and they are the best. They are the best. They're all from Cincinnati, Ohio. Airbrushed finish, casino quality, couldn't be better. Persuasion, very interesting. How to create a setting to ask a question, not depend on persuading the answer. Let me read that again. Rabbit is currently reading Persuasion. Very interesting. How to create a setting to ask a question, not depend on persuading the answer. Fantastic. I love that. That's all about interrogation and sales and, which are basically the same thing. And psychotherapy. That's what good therapists will do, set the scene for the patient to reach their own conclusions rather than the therapist saying, this is your diagnosis, setting the scene. That's why they have such comfy chairs and all that. But the same in sales, the same in interrogation. Oh, well, that reminds me. We've got to go way north of the border, guys, to see our good friends at the Ontario Provincial Police, the OPP, with their forensic psychology department. World class, world wonder, world setting of class. I mean, does it get better than that? With the Russell Williams interrogation, Detective Sergeant Jim Smith. That is the best one that exists by 100 miles. Basically untouchable. In fact, anyone else who did a completely good job like that would be just copying that. Hasta mañana, amigos. Hasta mañana a todos. Was Joel Michael interrogated? I don't know, Christine. Who's that? Joel Michael. I know Joel Guy Jr., but that's a different Joel. Wow, a lot of comments at the end of the day, guys. We're going to have to start only reading out super chats like a really, really good capitalist. Corner the market, raise the price. Corner the market, raise the price. That's economics 101, isn't it? Yeah. If anyone wants to buy us a cup of coffee, we got our True Crime Metrix on buymeacoffee.com. Fantastic. I'm a regular Joe, and I like my Joe regular. So, no, we're going to go now, guys. But we'll probably be back to... Oh, no, hang on. Tomorrow, I have to go to... I have to go to IKEA. I have to go to IKEA to pick up a sink vanity unit for the bathroom. But that's okay. But I got to be there between 7 and 10 in the evening. So, don't know if we'll do a stream tomorrow. If not, it'll probably be the next day, though. Yeah, Christine's from Alabama. Is that the first state alphabetically? It is, isn't it? Arkansas, Alaska, Alabama. Hey, who wants to time me on all 50 states? Now, I don't have a map. You can believe me or not believe me, but why? I would only be cheating myself. Alaska, Hawaii, Washington, Oregon, California, Montana, Idaho, Utah, Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Nebraska. No, did I say Nebraska already? I haven't even counted. Shit. Okay. Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Iowa. Did we miss one up there? No. Wyoming. Illinois, Ohio, Indiana. Shit. I try to go in some kind of geographical, if you dart around, you could get totally lost. That's just another thing to remember. Where was I? Indiana, Michigan, Pennsylvania, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Virginia, West Virginia, Connecticut, Maine, Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey. Okay, all right. I could finish, but I don't think anyone really wants that. Oh, Discord. Let's see if we can find the Discord for Neverly here. Discord. Open Discord. I still haven't had a minute to just learn about what this is. I thought it was about gaming because Chandler's always on about it. Okay, here it is. But it says channels me. Okay, this is a link to the Discord, guys. There it is. But yeah. What takes me to Portugal? Well, a lot of things. Clean air, good people. Yeah, I don't think the UK is a good place to live, you know. But I haven't lived in England since 2015. You know, I did a little bit for about 4 months. But other than that, I've been on the move. Yeah, soap. All right. Yeah. Still got 14 people in the chat. Doing what? Yeah, the link to the Discord's in the somewhere. There you go. There you go. It's on the main screen now. But I don't know if you can click that. It's in the chat. Look for my name in the chat. There's the link to the Discord. But I don't know what it is or if that's usable or what. So please please don't get mad. Do I speak Portuguese now? Only a little bit. You know, more than normal. Yeah. The best way to learn a language is to just go into the hardware shop and guess things. Because you always end up speaking to someone and they don't speak English. You know. But it's fun. Portuguese is a nice language. Way better than Spanish. Like in Wendy Adelson. Mas paella, senor. Mucho bueno. Muy bueno, senor. Mas paella, senor. Yeah, Portugal's really nice. You know, beautiful country. And still pretty clean and green, you know. Unlike, you know, Pittsburgh. One last question. Why would Wendy go to Austin? Well, it's a state capital. It's a seat of power, for sure, of history. It's where friggin' ZZ Top are from, you know, and Stevie Ray Vaughan, and someone else. I was going to move to Texas once, to Austin, actually. to a small place above Austin called Liberty Hill. The Hill of Liberty. I know everything about ZZ Top. Wendy has a boyfriend called Jorge. Man, I used to live in Toronto for a short time. And the meth in fucking downtown Toronto is like, okay. So there's a lot of meth here then. You know, Jesus Christ. And they have these clinics that are free on the weekend or something, but after you know, come Monday, they kick all these meth heads onto the street again because the clinics aren't free anymore, and then they're just wandering around loose. It's really funny. I mean, it's not really funny. It's like, wow, look at this. This is you know, it is what it is. It's a bunch of people on meth. Oh, you awake now, Sub? Where is your sound desk? Hey, man. Jesus just left Chicago and he's gone to New Orleans. But what is the best ZZ Top song? I mean, it's got to be I Need You Tonight, no? It's kind of an old blues song. I think everybody's done it. Buddy Guy, Aretha Franklin. But ZZ Top knock it out of the park. The Weird Beards. I know, right? It's amazing, isn't it? They just still come out with new albums. I mean, why not? Okay, guys, I gotta be up in about 6 hours. It's gonna be a long day. We've got to go to one job, then another job, then another job, then IKEA, then drive to another job to start early tomorrow. Well, the next day. But yeah. Long day, long day. Roll on summer. Then we can really dedicate some time to this, you know. But amazingly, this channel is actually starting to pull in some revenue now. And we're not even trying. We're not even trying. I mean, who knows where this is going to go? Not that it's about that for me, but it would be nice if we could afford some things to just polish this off a bit, you know. A microphone, some lights, camera. None of you know what I look like, huh? You probably all have a different idea in your head. It's going to be weird. Maybe I shouldn't even reveal that. Or maybe there is a picture of me somewhere online. I don't know. No, StreamYard is free. for me. I just created another account like Chandler Halderson did with his boss. I just said, yeah, okay, I'll just create another account and then create another email address and have another account. You want to charge me money? $25 they want to charge me. For what? I already have their branding. They said, oh, yeah, but you can remove our branding. I was like, well, I like the duck. You think I'm a middle-aged guy? I'm 37. That's not middle-aged, is it? That's smack bang in the middle of not a kid anymore. I won't be of middle age for another 10 years. At least. Yeah, Neverly, I don't know if I'm going to be on tomorrow. It's a busy, busy day, and they all are. But we'll see. Maybe I'll just have a fourth wind and keep it going. Keep it going for the group, guys. Keep it going for the group. Remember, guys, like, share, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I know you already have already. It's only subscribers that stay for these little after performance backstage pass exclusive. My full-time gig, Rabbit. Well, I've had a lot of full-time gigs, you know. At the moment, I'm onto a pretty good one. But 8 days a week, you know. I haven't. Today was supposed to be my day off, and it didn't work like that. I don't even approach people for work anymore. They find me. They said, "Oh, we've heard about you, and you're great. So can you come? Can you come and do this thing?" Yeah, Udi, I'm 37. I still have to think about that. In my mind, I'm 22. Yeah, the last time I looked, I was 22. And now I'm 37. But that's okay. Hey, guys, I'll just share one more fact with you. I thought, wouldn't it be great if someone out there who knows how to make a computer game, you know, with the code and the graphics and the controls and everything, they made a computer game where this stupid Wisconsin kid is the main character and he has to shoot his parents, chop up their bodies, hide them around, and then lie to the police. I mean, that would be a legacy, wouldn't it? Udi's 32. Hey, well, a 32, we're talking about ZZ Top. They drive Ford 32. You know, that's their hot rods. 32. I loved being 32. But it wasn't a great year. Or maybe it was. I don't really remember. Yeah. Okay. Gotta go, guys. Good night, all. Like, share, leave a comment. Much love. Hearts. Kissy faces. All nice emojicons coming your way. Laters.